oil prices didn't have anything to do with this race, or not race, but political race, I'm going to say, because everybody racist if I say it the wrong way. The biggest deals with this political was economy, the war on Iraq, and the border. Since you live in California and I live on Texas, these are big things for us. The border as one of them. The war is a big deal to me since I have family that are over in Iraq. Alright, so Philadelphia had Black Panthers imitating voters. That doesn't matter because Virginia and other states also didn't count military votes. My brother's vote in Japan wasn't counted. Should be oil. We should be drilling for oil in Alaska. That would be smart. That way we could actually be getting oil from our own country. The problem that we're having right now is that we're getting oil from other states. Or, other countries. Texas is one of the few states that is actually... the economy fails. Because we actually drill oil for ourselves. This is one of the reasons I'm glad my uncles actually have their own propane companies, and it's a big deal to us because we need to be drilling for ourselves. One of the problems is that with Obama, now this is also a positive and negative thing with Obama that I approve for and I also disagree with. We don't need to be doing a poverty war, but we do. We don't need to be doing it for the sole fact that they don't do anything. We've spent way too much money. Is Obama a communist? Alright, I'm going to stop with my previous statement and say yes. Well, not communist, but socialist. I do believe that he's trying to do way too much to help the poor and fuck over the rich. And I say that because I have family friends that have gone to college, got their PhDs, and probably won't be making as much as they should, but will be making... Was Hitler a communist? No. Hitler wasn't a communist. Hitler was a stupid fucking racist. Hitler was a horrible person. All Hitler could do was give speeches, and he could draw. He was a stupid, genius racist, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Callie? Alright, so you get what I'm saying. I mean, Adolf Hitler as a whole, without the murderous, stupidity, retarded side, was a brilliant man. Hold on. Hold the con. Okay, I'm done. I gotta wait a minute. I'm gonna stop this recording. Never mind. Okay. So, Adolf Hitler, in the whole, honestly was an idiotic man. There's no reason to hate by race or religion. You can't hate that way. You can hate everybody based on stupidity. But you can't hate by race or religion. It's stupid. Now, Hitler, on the other side, when he was smart and brilliant, he was actually a smart person. I mean, he was a great artist. He could speak amazing, like, his speeches were brilliant. I mean, that's what drew the country to hate all Jewish people. I mean, the way he spoke to people was amazing. amazing. Yeah, he was a leader, but he was more than a leader. He could form his words into so much meaning that it would blow your mind. Like, if you listen to his speeches and have them even, yeah, manipulator. But like watching his speeches and having them translated into American or English is just amazing. Like, listen, party formed as strong as they did. Now, I would. What I was saying was Hitler was never a communist. Obama isn't really a communist, but he follows a lot of Marx's, thoughts. I mean, he really does agree with Marxism and socialism, which I don't agree with because our country wasn't raised that way. He falls somewhere in that line. Yeah, exactly. Okay. But with Obama, the thing with him is, I think he can fix our economy, but he's also going to destroy what so many people work so hard to do. I mean, even if you go to India, there are people in India that are brilliant and well, but when they come in here, or when they come to America, they have to take a year or two more college courses to be a doctor or, get the PhD and whatever. And it's just that how much we actually put into our society of education is brilliant, but it's stupid. Like we were talking earlier of the show in the show with we were talking earlier in the show about, in elementary school, high school, they don't teach you all the truth of history. They don't teach you all the truth of this, that, and the other. But you always have to know as much math as possible. You always have to know all of science. So going too much into Scientology. But even when you get into college, they still don't teach you the truth in history. And I hate that. I mean, being born and raised in the South and being born and raised in a very racist family, I was born and raised that way. I felt that way up until 8th grade. And when I was in 8th grade, 9/11 happened. I remember walking into my history class, and in my history class I had a African American history teacher, and I always hated him just for this whole fact that he was black. It was how I was raised. But when I remember walking into that classroom a year after my grandfather died in 9/11. He died 9/11 the year before, okay? So a year later, the big 9/11 happens. The 9/11 of our generation happens. I remember everything just being destroyed. I remember watching that plane hit and me going, you know what? It doesn't matter about race or religion. We're all Americans. And it changed my perspective on everything. And it's weird, but for 2 months, America and everybody that lived in America, we were all Americans. You couldn't buy an American flag because we were sold out. All over the internet or in any store, we were sold out. And it was amazing. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. Because for once in my life, I'd actually seen America as America, not as a melting pot and a racism.